NERDSoul.
Yeah, late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Like, comment, subscribe. Let's go because we got a legendary gentleman in front of us today. We have Jason Reeves of 133Art. What's up, my dear brother?
Hey, what's happening? What's going on?
Yo, you know what? Today we're gonna get into some printing stuff, but I do want to know real quick how does it feel to be considered a legend in your field?
Who considered me a legend?
Oh! You forgot your nomination for the
a legacy?
Oh yeah, legacy, legend. That all come together.
I can't say that I don't enjoy it. I can't say that I don't like it. Nah, man. It's, like I said, man, it's good to be seen and feel seen. Because I do this every day, man. I don't have another job. 133Art is my main job, and I wake up every morning trying to figure out what is the best way to continue this business, to create comics and print comics and help build comics community and put Black people at the forefront. I wake up every day and that's what's on my mind, at least on my mind after I get Jason off of school, because that's really the first. But no, man, like, it feels good to be seen. It feels good for people to say, you've been doing the work and we recognize it. So shout out to Indie Comics Dispatch. I appreciate y'all. It feels good to feel seen. What y'all need to do is holler at Indie Comics Dispatch too. They're really good. They report on our industry in comics, and they do put a spotlight on indie people like me. And y'all need to support them. Go give them some money. Go read stuff. Go do all that.
Word up. That's what it's all about, man. So, speaking of that printing, that 133Art printing, you not only make comics, but you print comics. So, we've talked, I think offline, maybe a little bit online, about what got you into actually printing comics. But if you could, for the folks that's brand new, what got you started actually printing comics, not just creating them?
The expense of printing comics got me into printing comics. So
is it that expensive?
It was at the time. So this was like, circa 2007 or something like that. Where I was still a freelance illustrator. I am still a freelance illustrator, but my primary thing, 133Art, was a freelance illustration company, and I wanted to make comics. I've loved comics ever since I was a kid. One Nation was like germinating in my brain, and I wanted to bring Paragon and Sundiata and those guys to life. And what better way to do that but to make it into a comic? So I was like, how am I going to do this? I need to print it. That way I can get it in the stores. And when we started, my wife and I, and my business partner, Kemi, we started researching what it costs to create comics. And that was before on demand with like Amazon and a lot of these smaller companies. Was viable. It was expensive. One comic might cost you $12 to print on demand, and it was crazy. The industry was really just, for printing comics as a layman, I guess you could say, it was expensive and it was just starting to get there. And then we looked up overseas printing, and while that is good in bulk, they kill you with shipping fees, or they were killing you with shipping fees. This was even before COVID, and it was still crazy. And I just couldn't see myself ordering thousands of copies of comic books or hundreds of copies of comic books that I didn't yet know how to sell for thousands of dollars that I did not yet know how to make. You know what I'm saying? So we looked up how to create comics, and there was very little literature on that, even online. The vast powers of Google and the internet. Nobody really tells you how to make comics, at least that we could find. So I just kind of started really paying attention to how the comics that I actually bought, the comics that I had, were made. You need to staple them in the middle. You need to fold them. You needed to, you need to print on a page with 4 sides. Each page, quote unquote, of a comic has 4 sides. It's printed on pretty long paper, And as we started observing that, we started to kind of formulate how we would do it. And comics are usually printed on printing presses. Historically, you get plates, and it was a whole thing, like a newspaper. I couldn't afford to do that.
Nah.
So I was like, Kemi was like, what can we afford? So we started looking on eBay and Amazon and trying to just glean and find the proper equipment. And it took a lot of trial and error. The first thing I bought was a laser printer. It was like an HP. It was this older model. It was like a big sort of, it wasn't a desktop printer either. It was like a big, huge box looking printer. Almost just shy of being an industrial style
like one of them office type joints?
Yeah, it was like an office joint. And it didn't have, comics are printed on the front and the back of that one page.
Yeah.
But it didn't have duplex printing, is what they call it. So I literally had to sit in front of the printer, print one page off 100 times, flip the pages, put them back in the printer, and then print the backs of them 100 times. And I would be sitting in my garage office, but it was hot and sweaty, and I would be in there working. So it was a refurbished printer, and we spent, I want to say maybe like anywhere from $600 to $1,200 on that thing. My memory's bad, so it varies, but it was either $600 or up to $1,200. And that was our first foray into comic book printing. And then at first I was folding them by hand like an idiot. And
you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, and I brought this real long stapler, and I was like, the first comics printed by 133Art were folded and stapled by hand, and they were atrocious. And I was sweating. And when I printed them the first time, I brought them to Kemi. She came home from work, and she was like, "So you did it?" I was like, "Yeah." And I showed them to her, and she was like, "It don't look bad." And I was like, I explained to her how atrocious it was, like the process. And she was like, "Oh, you're not gonna be able to do it." Like, you're gonna have to print 50 of these? And I was like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do it. So we kept searching and figuring, and every so often there would be like a documentary on comics, or somebody would be doing a blog on comics or something, and there'd be a little nugget of information you could take. So we learned about saddle stitching, and that's what they call the stapling of comics. We learned about a machine created to saddle stitch the comic. It's an industrial stapler, but you don't know that when you first do this thing. And you can see, matter of fact, let me grab one. This, my friends, is a saddle stitch machine, and it's just a big stapler, and it has this is where this is supposed to be on here. This one is a broken one that I had to like rejigger. But you put the paper here, there's a foot pedal, you see it on the ground behind me. You hit the foot pedal, and then it staples. And then you slide the paper over, and then you do the second staple. Bam, hit the foot pedal. But this is a saddle stitch machine.
Nice. Okay, so now you know what I'm saying, you had your first printer, you wasn't feeling it, but then you got the new joint, you start saddle stitching. All right, okay, I see you.
So after you do that though, okay, you've printed, you've stapled, you've printed, you've folded, I by hand for some reason, and then you stapled. Now you got to cut because the size of the paper is 11 by 17, right?
Yep.
So you fold this over, there will be 4 pages on this thing. So like 1 page, 2 page, flip it over, 3 page, 4 page. Flip that, you got a comic, but you got to cut it because it's not the right size at this point, right? So how do you cut comics? There's several ways to cut paper in general, and you can get one of those cheap Staples cutters where and you cut the paper. Mm-hmm. But again, if you have to do it more than 2 or 3 times, if you have to do it 50 to 100 times, you need something industrial.
Yeah. that slider can get tedious.
It can get sweaty. So I'm gonna bring my camera. Bear with me. And
oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? We going on a trip.
Going on location. Paper cutter. See that?
Oh yeah, you ain't got that at the school library. Nah, you ain't got that.
Right. This is sort of an industrial style paper cutter. And you pull on a lever, shoot, and you can cut, a whole bunch of sheets of paper at a time. And that is how you want to cut comics. See, these are some cut comics.
And look at all those comics he's printed. Look at all them comics. There's a whole bunch of comics. Look at all them comics.
This is some stock for Black Comics Day. Doing the thing. Art. Love it. But anyway, and there's some comics over there. This is the studio, by the way. There's all kinds of crap in here. It's chaos, but organized chaos.
Understood.
Yeah, so you need a paper cutter to do that, to really get in your bag about the process. Forgive me, I gotta get this mic back together. All right, and this camera back together. So you definitely need to create a workflow that allows you to create several different books, to cut and staple and create several different books at a time. And those things cost, it's a little bit of an upfront cost in a sense, like that paper cutter there might be, I don't know, I got it refurbished. Some lady owned a paper, her own kind of paper company, like her own book publishing company, and she was getting rid of it. I think I paid like $300 for the thing. So you gotta be savvy. Please stay on eBay. Those saddle stitch machines on eBay are like roughly $150, $160 a piece. And you get a couple of them. Like, again, the upfront cost might be 3 G's, but at the same time, you're in business after that.
Yeah. And you're able to service, a whole brand new community of people that were looking just like you were, which is another thing I want to ask you about, because you do service a whole bunch of other artists and creators. You know what I'm saying? And what I would consider holding down the community, because there's a lot of people that would otherwise have to go, and print overseas and get a million copies or something like that. And of course I'm being facetious, 1,000 or 500 copies. But now they don't have to, they ain't got to cross the Pacific for that. They can hit you up and they can print from you. And they're, I've seen people printing with you, and how does it feel being able to not only do this for your comics, but also being able to create that opportunity and that ability for other creators that didn't have it before?
It was good, man. Like I said earlier, I am about community building and about making sure that people like me have what they need. And it feels really good to be able to help people. 133Art Publishing is just that. It's printing. 133Art Printing, a wing of the publishing, is just that. It is a mom and pop shop where we get to print your needs for your next convention, right? Like that was a big thing for me. Like again, instead of printing 1,000 comics overseas, you can print with us 50 or 20 comics, right? And you're going to your convention, you have your first book, and you got your 20 copies, and you didn't have to sweat. You know, it took you a month, 4 to 6 weeks to get your first book, and you can go to your convention and you're learning how to build your business and sell your books. And I love to be able to provide that. Like those are my favorite clients, are the people that are like, hey Jay, I need 50, and we knock out 50, and I see them across the table from me at the same conventions, and they're selling the books. Like that it doesn't get any better than that. So no, it feels really good to be able to do that. And I couldn't do that at first with that first run of equipment, let me say. At first, it was only One Nation that we were printing. And then we had to expand a little bit. By the time, I want to say 2012 rolled around. 2016 rolled around. Then we were able to provide those services. Because in 2016, I was able to actually get a workhorse machine. Now, what I'm working with now is a big BizHub laser printer. I'll show it to you. Got a camera movement in this episode. There's the big BizHub machine. Now that thing is something like you would see in Kinko. And that can do way better than the work that first machine we had could do. And it's faster. And at that point we could service the community, right? Nice. And we need to pay for the machines. So we were like, what better way to do that than to start charging for our printing services? And people seem to like the quality of the printing. It's still not printing press quality printing. It's digital, there are no plates or whatever, but I think it serves for, us that are just like getting to the convention and stuff, Again, I'm a mom and pop shop. I don't do a lot of bells and whistles that the bigger, more staffed companies can do, but we'll get you to your convention. Straight up.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the most important things that's on my mind for for like creators in general, is like the ability to be able to have your books in hand when you're at the show or when you're out and about. Because say you happen to go to an event and you get talking up because maybe you have a pen or a t-shirt or whatever, and you start talking about your comic book, your hat or whatever, say creator XYZ, and they have their hat or their shirt on or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, this is my comic book, blah, 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 blah. You're like, oh yeah, I got one in the car, you can have, you know what I'm saying? And, of course, if you're networking or whatever, or, give away to the kids, you know what I'm saying? Nothing wrong, NERDSoul, love the kids. But, unless y'all, unless it's like a horror comic, then that's a little different, I guess. But unless their kid is Wednesday. But to be able to have those things on the go, on you, so you can say, I make things, and here it is. Not having to say, all right, well, to say I have it, I have to have 1,000 of them. Because, like you said, maybe you're starting, or maybe this is something you do on the side. You have a great love for comics. You have an awesome character that you've been in love with. You made it. The comic looks good. The writing's good. But you can't leave the main job. You still got to do this on the weekends or whatever. But you got a good, say, 100 books on you because you got a show you're going to or whatever, and you want to sell those and start to build that. So I think that's great to be able to have that, because even though, like some people might say, oh, well, I want a foil cover or this, that, and the third. It's like, well, yeah, I guess we all do because of the nostalgia of it, but foil covers ain't moving nothing, no way. Like, I'll say that for me. I'm not going to say that for you. I'm going to say for me, foil covers, those like hologram covers, they're great. They're awesome for the nostalgia of it. Like we all miss them, we all love them, but it's a different time. And like people ain't tripping on those. And the amount of money to get that like that metal foil cover or whatever, bruh, like, dude, just get your book out. Get your book out.
But it's like, can you still hear me? Is my mic good?
Yeah, I got you.
So I feel you, like, and I also think there's like something to be said for being able to stay in business and learn how to run the business, right? And I say this a lot about like art or writing or whatever. Like our favorite people we see now, our favorite creators who are superstars or whatever, were allowed to grow within the business while getting paid, while, you know, doing interviews, you know, what all the trappings that come with becoming a legend or a legacy in your field. And I want that for the Black comics industry, for the Black comics indie creators. And I think for a lot of time, historically, we haven't been able to do that because the cost to continuing and to learn over here on this side of it is a little steep. Like, and when I say cost, not necessarily just money, but like time and effort. People have families and kids and jobs and stuff that they have to do. So yeah, there's a boom to be able to be agile enough to have those comics in your trunk and be able to continue promoting yourself. And there's a boom to it without having to blow your wad on over, you know, on the way it used to be, right?
Yeah.
As far as printing goes. And I know the game. I'm in the game. So I know what it is to be able to have a comic to give away, right? To be able to have that stock and only have spent, you know, $200-$300. You're not out of a lot of money. You're not taking
you didn't have to take out a loan to get some comics done.
Exactly. You didn't have to go into debt to get some comics to follow your dream. And when I was able to like do that, I was like, yo, let's do it. And kudos, man. Y'all don't know how much y'all owe to Kemi Reeves for this stuff. Like, not only her brilliant mind, but her giving heart is like, you should open this up to the community. Like, a lot of times I'm the dude that's like, I don't want all that hassle. But she's like, yo,
shouts to Kemi, man. Shouts to Kemi.
Give my woman her flowers.
She out there doing it for y'all. You know what I'm saying? She holding y'all down.
Tell you, she the one. But yeah. So no, that's always what I've wanted to provide, because I wanted somebody to do that for me back in the day. I used to always tell my homeboy John, John, it cost our first print run. It wasn't One Nation too. This was back in, I want to say like 2003 or 4. We did a print run. If you look at those, there's a couple comics back behind me. If you look past Vulture on the wall here, these 4 comics, you can't really see them because of the light, but those are the first comics we printed with our own money. That wasn't like Kinko's prints. Actual,
word up.
One is called Ghost Fighters. That's John's. One is Wolf Boy. That's Rashad's. That's a whole right. And Dust was mine. And I want to take the credit. I don't think you can reach. And those were the first comics John and I ever printed with our own money, and that cost us, I want to say, $2,400 for about maybe like, I think we got 500 copies each, or it might have been 1,000 copies each, something like that. And we didn't know how to sell comics. And I went to my first convention, which was like Wizard World, Texas, or something like that. And we went there with like 100 comics apiece. And we were trying to hand them out to editors, and hand them out to other artists we liked. Nobody would take them. Nobody wanted them. And when the idea of like selling a comic out of a backpack to some random person made me sweat like a crazy person. I was like, I'm not doing that. I have too much anxiety to do that. But we're sitting on like 500 to 1,000 comics off of that run, and we were broke. We saved that, man. I saved up that money. I worked at a grocery store. I was saving up that money for like a year. You know, like it was something crazy. And it wasn't even like it wasn't printed like a normal comic was printed. Like we had to talk back and forth with the printers. The paper is weird if you open that thing up. It's just somebody that didn't know what they were doing and spending a whole lot of money, months worth of savings to get books that they couldn't sell. Most of those books were. So I know what it is to like be in that position, and I want to make it easier for my folk, so that they don't have to make fall into those pits of losing their money.
Yo, that's what's up. That's what's up, y'all, man. So I'll say this. I'll say that from the comics to the prints, because you also do prints as well. From the comics to the prints, all of the paper that I've gotten has been top quality. Like I've read through the Changa book, read through the Kid Carvers, the One Nation. Like the books have been great, especially when y'all did the box for Changa. That was dope. Y'all did the Changa box, but I mean, the comics have been great. The comics have been awesome, and I'll say if you don't get no flowers from nobody else, let's just say thank you for doing this, because I know there's a lot of people out there that do utilize your services, that do need your services, because or they get accepted for a show they didn't think they were going to get accepted to, and they're like, yo man, I got this show next month and I didn't. You can't do no short runs. You can't do it. Can't call overseas and be like, yo man, I got a short run I need real quick. They ain't hear that. They ain't trying to hear that. So it's just dope that you do that, and I just want to say thank you, what I'm saying, because we do always talk about Black creators, Black businesses being able to do it, being able to, like you said, stay agile and be able to like do these maybe short runs or large runs, but always being able to have product on hand, and you being able to do that for them. That's a huge deal, especially with the quality that you bring. So just thank you for that. But with those that are for those that are watching, I'm gonna throw it to you for final thoughts. And where can folks find you? Where can folks get their books printed, get their prints printed? So, hey, look, con season, I know it seemed like you got snow out there and stuff, but look, man, it'll be con season before you know it. I mean, shoot, Fan Expo NOLA just went down 2 weeks ago or something like that. So look, before you know it, you'll be talking about going to some convention and you're gonna need some prints on hand. So, what I'm saying? Look, holla at your boy.
And February is con season for Black creators. So, it's Black History Month, man. People they start looking for us around this time. No, man, my final thoughts are just I get asked all the time, y'all still printing? Yes. The answer is yes. Now, we don't do a lot of bells and whistles, and I haven't figured out how to do perfect bound printing. And I really think it's a matter of partnering with somebody that already has the equipment at this point. But at the same time, we still printing. We still printing floppies. And if you need floppies for a show, that's us. So yeah, my final thoughts is yes, we are still printing comics. You can find us as always at the hub, 133art.com. And when is this? When we gonna get her food out of there so I can finish taping? Yeah, you're on camera.
She wasn't in the full view, but she was in there a little bit. They're
rumbling around. Final thoughts are Final thoughts are I always get asked, y'all still printing? And we are still printing. We never stop printing. And we're starting to do more promo on the actual on our printing services. I think we kind of maybe slid a little bit in that, and we're gonna start doing more promo about that. I'm very curative about my client base as well, so that's a thing too. But I curate a lot. Because y'all not about to work the hell out of me, but
y'all ain't about to drive him crazy.
Hey, I'm still an artist. I'm still a creator in my own respect. But yeah, so we are still printing. The hub is 133art.com. You will find all of our stuff there. If you want a sample to see what our printing looks like, buy a damn comic. Or if you want to inquire about the way we print or anything about getting our services, hit me up at 133artpublishing@gmail.com, and we'll talk. Yeah, man, that's really what it is. It's real simple.
Yo, man, look, just going to cap them comics real quick. Or I mean, hey, look, if you happen to be at a show that I'm at, I don't know how many shows I'm gonna go to this year. I have no idea. But if you happen to be at a show I'm at, I might have a couple of his books with me. I don't know. I'll see. I'm gonna give away some books this year. I'm gonna give away. I'll do some raffles. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna have to do something. Y'all gonna have to give $1. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Of course, Mr. Legacy, thank you for your time. And of course, this has been NERD, NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. Holding it down for the creators like this man right here. Check out those books. Check out Retcon. Check out Changa. Check out Pac Samson. Barnes & Noble. Y'all said Pac Samson was in the young reader section. I ain't see it. I went back there. Shouts to Greg. I saw Dreamer back there, but I ain't see Pac Samson out there. Y'all said it was in the young readers, and I looked for it.
If you go in Barnes and Nobles anywhere in the United States, matter of fact, anywhere in the world, and you don't see Pac Samson back there, order that man.
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all was
front. I was looking for Pac Samson, and y'all ain't got it back there.
Yeah. Like, man, come on. But of course, until next time that you need some printing services, whether it's a print, whether it's a whole book, holla at him, get those books done. He's based in Cali. You're going to get the books fast. Look, Matt, you know what? We're going to open up an East Coast. No, all right, let's not go too far. All right, but anyway, we love all y'all. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Spread mathematics, spread it right. You know what I mean?